Hi, everyone. It's good to be here.
Happy podcast anniversary.
Happy podcast anniversary, Rachel.
Can you believe we're now at the end of season 1 and officially season 2? Who would have thought?
I was excited to know that we had like a season and that we now have a second season. Well, you know what? I think this is a good time, Rachel, to introduce a very special person who has been doing a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes of this podcast and a lot of other projects at the National League for Nursing. So I'd like to introduce Andrea Browning, who is the portfolio manager at the NLN in the Division for Innovation and Education Excellence. So welcome, Andrea. Thank you for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
And not only is Andrea the portfolio manager, but she is the editor and producer of this podcast. And when I say she's doing a lot of heavy lifting, editing these episodes behind the scenes, I mean, it's pretty significant.
As in, she takes our banter and turns it into something that someone would actually want to listen to, perhaps.
Exactly.
That is the hope. That is the hope.
And what I'm excited about is that Andrea, just for fun and to celebrate our year, our first season, Andrea has, I think, prepared a little bit of a blooper reel to share with us, some edits that she has removed. She is going to share with us, and Rachel and I have not seen this yet. So we are excited. I don't know. Is that the right word?
You know, I was thinking about this morning, Michelle. I was trying to think of like, how am I feeling going into this? Because I was excited because we haven't seen them. Also recognizing I haven't really watched myself in full episodes because, you know, you and I have talked about this. I don't have that intestinal fortitude yet. And so I kind of liken it to, you know, at Christmas when you have that one person that gives you these like far outlandish presents and you're like not sure what you're actually going to get. And you have to prepare yourself for how you're going to react. I kind of feel that way.
Yes, it is like opening an interesting surprise. So.
But you've already lived the experience, so it shouldn't be much of a surprise unless you've suppressed your memory.
Well, I have clearly, as we were talking about some episodes, I have completely missed some things. So I think I do suppress some of these memories of recording the episodes. And I just, when you hit that record button, I disintegrate. Like immediately.
You know, I was thinking about that too, because, you know, I liken it to when I first started teaching and I took teaching courses and we had to record ourselves. And it was the hardest thing watching. And even to this day, when I record a lecture and then I'll have to, and I don't want to use the word lecture, but when I record a class and I post it and I then kind of spot check it to make sure the recording came out okay, it's still to this day hard to watch. And so I can relate to that. You know, we have these conversations before we hit the record button. And then the record button, and there's something psychological about once that record button starts. It's interesting.
It definitely is. I feel completely hijacked. We talk about amygdala hijacking all the time, and we just have a normal conversation, and then that record button, that red light goes on, and I start to freeze. But you know, it's not much different than me speaking even in front of a live group of people and like a presentation or in front of a class. I still to this day get very, very nervous. I've gotten a little bit better over the years. I have tried some things like power posing, which is a TED talk. I can't think of her name right now, but
Amy.
Amy. I don't know.
Well, so here's the beauty of Andrea, because she's going to go look this up. And when this gets edited, she's going to have the right name up on the video. So anybody who listens to the audio podcast stream is really missing out if they don't watch the video, because Andrea puts all these little gems in there where she'll put up pictures or correct what we're saying, or
yeah, like I just made up someone's name, I'm pretty sure. Yes, Amy, she has a TED talk about power posing, and I have done that, and it really does work, where you would give yourself more of a masculine pose, putting your arms out. I tend to do the superwoman pose with my hands on my hips, and I will just walk around like that. I probably look like maybe I am being a jerk. I'm not sure. It might be a little off-putting, but what I'm doing is trying to increase my testosterone and lower my heart rate. And it does work.
So I think our game plan, Michelle and Andrea, is Andrea, you're going to show the blooper reel, and then we're going to kind of reflect and talk about the episode and what we learned and took away from talking with all these great people. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. I think we are going to start with the intro episode. Is that where we'd like to begin?
I think that is a great place to start.
Absolutely.
All right. So we had the Beneath the Surface episode, and quite a bit of bloopers, as is expected with the very first Where It All Began.
Well, have they gone down over the episode? That's an interesting.
The bloopers?
Yeah.
Are you
Considering I've had 3 already.
Are you looking for an honest answer? Yes, they have gone down somewhat.
Oh, good.
But it does depend on the guest and how much they're willing to play along and, be immersed in the podcast recording. So some people are a little more prone to, some guests I believe are a little more prone to shenanigans, as you will see.
I think, Andrea, you so beautifully put it to us that this first one we're about to see, this first episode, gave you a lot of opportunity to fine tune your editing skills.
This is correct.
Better. Okay, so I am thinking we should run through our intro.
Yeah. You want to just do like a soft run through?
Sure. Because chances are if we do a soft run through, it's going to stick. It's going to be fine because it'll feel natural.
Oh, good. All right, you ready? Let's do this.
Let's do it.
All right. And in addition to exploring our favorite recipes for dinner and for success, see, that's so cheesy.
Yeah. Well, let's not do that.
I want to anyway. Thank you. All right, I'm going to start from the top, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I feel awkward jumping in and being like Rachel and Ella there.
Do you? Good. Okay.
Yeah, I feel a little weird.
All right, I'll just do it straight.
Yeah.
Welcome to this episode of the NLN Nursing EDge Unscripted. Nope.
Andrea, you gotta make a blooper reel.
Nope. All right. Welcome to the Welcome to this episode of the NLN podcast Nursing EDge Unscripted, the surface track. And hopefully, nope, I gotta get rid of that hopes and dreams part. Gotta go. Goodbye. Welcome to this episode of NLN podcast, of the NLN podcast. Mother of pearl. Okay. Woo. Welcome to this episode of the NLN podcast, Nursing EDge Unscripted, the surface track. And we want to just thank you also for joining this conversation as we begin this new adventure.
Exactly. So Michelle, I have loved our opportunity to get to chat. The folks that are going to be our hosts. Stop.
Now you know how to do the intro like 7 times.
I know. I had empathy for you. I would have done it 82 times. So Michelle, I think this wraps us up for our first little introductory orientation. And I hope everyone comes back, stays tuned, and catches us on the next episode. Take care, everyone. I didn't give you a chance to respond. Is that okay?
It's a podcast, by the way, which means there should be a word. And I was like,
we'll do that again.
You want me to say something?
I feel weird. I'm like, it's fun working with you. Goodbye.
All right. I guess.
So let's do it again because I could tell you felt really uncomfortable because you're like, yeah, I like working with you too. And we'll see you next time. I'm like, that's not Michelle.
I really do like you.
I know you do.
Okay. All right.
It is always a joy working with you and talking with you. So I am really excited about our conversations to come with our future guests on this podcast.
Thank you, Rachel. And I love working with you too. And I can't, I get that in my mouth.
I'm trying to choke it out.
What to say? I'll say whatever. Sorry.
Totally need a blooper reel. Okay.
I know.
Oh my goodness. I have like tears coming out of my eyes. That was really quite hysterical. Talk about, the essence of this whole podcast is trying to talk about the vulnerability of being a nurse educator and what we face in the trenches. And holy smokes, if that didn't feel vulnerable, I'm not really sure what did. But I really do enjoy working with you, Michelle.
I'm sorry. It was so hard to get out of my mouth.
Oh. And Andrea, you need to win like a humanitarian award or something for what you do and having to listen to us when we're off script. So, which is the irony because this is supposed to be unscripted.
I did have to cut your first episode quite a bit. The blooper reel was about double that size. So I did cut her down. But there is a lot of joy, and there are a lot of shout outs for me. So that's nice. A lot of times, even when you have guests, you're referencing Andrea is going to take care of this. So I feel like I need to hold that responsibility and take that seriously, even when bloopers are occurring.
Wow, we appreciate everything you do. It just makes me think about when we first started this, and Michelle and I, this is really Michelle's brainchild. I'm just sort of like, she's the captain of this, and I love being her skipper, I guess, in this journey. And so when we were talking about it, we're like, well, we're pretty skilled debriefers. We're good at debriefing students. So I think we have, the skills to do a podcast. And oh man, when we started, we're like, what are we doing?
Yeah, we thought this was going to just be like a super easy, free-flowing conversation. And we were like, oh, it'll be so easy for Andrea we'll just run a conversation through, maybe a little cut at the beginning, a little cut at the end. And no, it's not that easy.
All right. Well, do you want to go to the next episode for bloopers?
Yes.
I think I'm ready.
You think you're ready. And so that would be Saber and Omar.
Yeah, sure.
Sounds good.
NLN core values. This episode is entitled Making Connections, Interprofessional Partnerships to Bridge the Gap. Well, I'm going to say that again.
There you go. just giving you a taste of what usually happens with the scripted part of the Unscripted podcast.
Well, that's exactly why, Andrea, at some point, Rachel and I had this conversation where I was like, I have to shake loose of this scripted, there's like this pressure to get this script out, like perfect and make it look like it's not scripted, but it's super scripted. So I finally just had to say, can we just acknowledge the elephant in the room that it's scripted? Can we just say it's scripted?
I think there's such a strong parallelism to this Michelle, you and I spend a lot of time in faculty development in a lot of different topics with faculty around the country. And we talk about, psychological safety, we talk about best practices in teaching, but we also say to them, there's this authenticity and being genuine that you have to find your own voice. And we try to hold so tightly to the people that we admire and the people we want to emulate and use their words. And when we hold so tightly to this tight structure of what we think it should be, it's like holding sand in your hand, right? It just falls through. And I see such parallelism because we live and preach that in our academic practice when we're educators, right? You are very authentic and genuine when you're teaching. I would like to think that I'm the same way. And then ironically, that when we get into this as a novice, right, I consider us expert educators, or at least we have some level of expertise. We're novice educators. We hold tightly and do the same thing that we tell our faculty that we're mentoring and, leading in faculty development not to do. I think it's so interesting.
It is interesting. And it's hard. I really appreciate these blooper reels because I think it shows, and it kind of pulls back the curtain a little bit to show, Rachel and I, how we really are very relaxed and like we genuinely enjoy working with one another. And we hope that comes through when we have these conversations. But I've been worried that it doesn't come through because I get so stiff and I feel like I'm, like you said, holding the sand in my hands, like just a little too tight, and it just starts kind of leaking out a little bit. So I really appreciate that analogy. And, I actually shook loose of this whole scripted intro thing a little bit because someone recently told me, I said, I was doing a presentation and I said, well, I have a bio. I'd like to just read it, but I'm worried that I should be engaging with the audience a little bit. And the person who was very experienced said, no, read it. You don't want to screw up a bio, right? You don't want to like say the wrong title, the wrong name, the wrong, school or whatever. So just read it straight. And I was like, oh, that's okay. It just was like a weight lifted off that I could just read it because you want to just get it right, for the person out of respect for your guest. So I don't know. That was liberating.
Yeah. And I think you touched on something really important there, at least it runs for me. And I think you can weigh in on how it lands on you, but there's a lot of gravity in this for me that we are representing the NLN who I really hold in high esteem and with a lot of respect. And I want to get it right. I want to make, people proud that this is an NLN product. And so with that gravity comes, I think that feeling of like just wanting to get it right.
All right, so let's jump to the next episode then. You were fortunate to have Dr. and Bruce Mary Fay and Sue Fernaris, and there were some shenanigans with that.
Dr. Susan Fernaris directs the Division for Innovation and Education Excellence Dr. Susan Fernares directs the Division for Innovation and Education Excellence at the National League for Nursing in Washington, D.C. Sue's teaching and leadership. Yeah! Sorry.
Love the primal scream. That's nice.
I get so frustrated. I like all of a sudden can't read. It's so sorry, Andrea. I love you. Sorry.
You have to do those things that actors do, like tick, telly, to tick, tick, tick.
Andrea put that in the blooper reel.
Oh my God.
Are there things people do to get?
Look, I left Michelle with her.
All right.
Oh, this is a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, well, yeah, just wait. Okay.
I have to say I'm thrilled that Sue's little tongue training made it into that video. I was really hoping it would. That was a great, fun recording, working with Sue and Mary.
Yeah, well, both of them are our mentors, right?
Mhm.
I mean, Mary onboarded me into University of Maryland School of Nursing when I was director of this, not director, cut that out. I was the STEM lab coordinator.
You just gave yourself a promotion, like ad hoc.
Well, shall we carry on to the next
Yes.
final blooper? So
Yeah.
this is from the episode with Dr. Kyle Johnson, and let me cue it up.
I'm just going to read it then.
Okay.
We want to be conscious of our time boundaries. This conversation could go on, and it will. We will pick up with our conversation with Dr. Okay. Just so you know, Kyle, we have Andrew's keeping a blooper reel, and I'm dying to see this blooper reel because it's probably really good.
Blooper reels are the best.
Yeah.
I don't know if the blooper reels are the best. Now that you've seen them, you'll have to tell me.
They are definitely, first of all, they were very well edited. I just want to say thank you for your editing gifts and talents behind the scenes, putting all this together. It's just pretty awesome. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Andrea, so much.
Now, whether they're high quality content, I'm not sure.
Please.
Well, I think that kind of leads us to where do we go from here? And really this invitation to those who listen or watch the podcast on the website, really hearing from those folks who want to know where to go next and what's burning, what's going on in the trenches that we haven't covered yet. I would love to hear from folks on that.
I would too. I would love to try to figure out a way to hear from anyone listening or watching, our audience, to get your feedback and to get some ideas on where we can go. I will say that the podcast has an editorial advisory board, and Jocelyn Moreno is one of the board members who I'm collaborating with, myself and Rachel and Andrea, to really identify maybe a couple of little mini series that we can cover over the next year. The NLN is celebrating the Year of the Nurse Educator. So we want to have a mini series that really focuses on where nursing education and nurse educators intersect with various, like, I guess you would call them stakeholders, but for example, conversations with nurse educators and practicing nurses, really trying to bring about some awareness as nurse educators as to what, because if some of us and many of us may not be practicing. And so to really bring about some awareness as to what practicing nurses are experiencing right now in a pandemic that is not over, that really is ongoing and evolving and changing, and that on a daily basis, really. So just hearing some different perspectives there, hearing from academic and practice leadership, we think that might be a valuable conversation to bring about. So we have some ideas. We also want to we mentioned it a little earlier in this episode, but maybe have another little mini series about the curriculum revolution. Where has nursing curricula, where did it start? And how has it trended over the years to where it's landing right now, and where is it going in the future? And we know that some of these topics around curricula are hot on people's minds right now, given that we've had to change the way we teach, change where we teach, and how we reach students, and how we get students clinical experiences and learning, how to take care of people with some limited resources on how to actually be in the hospital settings or clinical settings. So we want to explore and unpack some of these ideas. And we want to hear, I think, more from ideas from anyone listening. We're open. I think that's the fun part of this.
Yeah, and just to let our listeners know, in addition to the podcast being available through many podcast providers, whether you're listening on Apple or Google or Spotify, we also have the video feed, the video podcast available on YouTube. You can access that even if you just use the search bar for NLN Nursing EDge Unscripted, you'll be able to find it. And comments are enabled on the YouTube videos. So if you do want to join the conversation, I do monitor the comments, make sure that those get to our host. So if you'd like to join the conversation, have ideas or thoughts about episodes, we do encourage that way of connecting with us.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again, Andrea, for being the glue, the polish, the varnish, all the good things that make this a viewable, listenable, watchable, all the things podcast. We really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And I feel that both you and Michelle have been very good about sharing your feedback and appreciation. So thank you again for doing so on a public episode as well.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of NLN Nursing EDge Unscripted Surface. We hope you join us next time. Until then, remember, whether your water is calm or choppy, stay connected, get vulnerable, and dare to go beneath the surface.